Welcome back to The Explainer. So, we all love a beautiful mature tree, right? I mean, they give us shade, they add beauty to the neighborhood, and obviously, oxygen. But I was actually amazed to learn that right under our feet, a high-stakes battle might literally be happening beneath our lawns as we speak. Today, we're unpacking this intense, completely hidden conflict between tree roots and your sewer lines. We're going to break down exactly how this happens, what the warning signs look like, and precisely how to fight back using the best intelligence we've got. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. What actually happens when nature decides your home's plumbing is its next water source? Well, you've got to remember that roots basically have one primary job, and that's to naturally, relentlessly seek out moisture. They are, for all intents and purposes, the ultimate freeloaders looking for an all-you-can-drink buffet. And what is a sewer line? With a tiny, imperceptible leak? To a tree, it's an incredibly attractive, never-ending oasis. So if you've got older pipes, maybe made of brittle materials, or even just poorly sealed at the joints, you're essentially ringing a dinner bell for every tree in the vicinity.
These roots are essentially an invisible villain. They don't actually need a huge gaping hole to get inside your plumbing. Not at all. They actively seek out microscopic weaknesses. Once they find us a tiny crack or a microscopic gap, they slip in, and over time, begin to physically enlarge those openings. It's this super slow, silent process, gradually triggering severe blockages and structural failures completely out of sight. You're just going about your day above ground, totally unaware, while a major breach is expanding right below you. So how do you actually know this underground war is taking place before it's literally too late? Well, let's find out.
Moving on to Section 1, the warning signs, agitation above ground.
Now, the symptoms usually start innocently enough. You might just notice recurring clogs that just won't seem to go away for good. Or maybe you hear these strange gurgling sounds coming from your drains. But then it escalates, right? You get slow drainage in your toilets or your showers. If you ignore that, you'll start noticing unpleasant sewage odors near your cleanouts or even outside in the yard, culminating in literally the absolute worst-case scenario, a raw sewage backup right into your home. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that this problem worsens gradually. Early investigation is absolutely vital if you want to catch this before it turns into a full-blown line failure.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the crucial difference between a totally normal plumbing hiccup and a systemic root invasion. A single slow drain? Okay, that might just be hair or normal everyday clog. But if you're dealing with slow drainage across multiple fixtures simultaneously, and it's paired with outdoor sewage odors, man, that is a massive red flag. That tells us the problem is not isolated to one sink. It means the problem is deep in the main line, and nature is likely taking over the whole shebang. But to understand how to stop them, we really have to understand how they get in to begin with.
Which brings us to Section 2, the breach, how defenses fail.
Look, sewer pipes are tough, for sure, but they definitely aren't invincible. They face these relentless environmental stressors day in and day out underground. Your pipes are constantly battling aging materials, the natural shifting of the soil, and brutal freeze-thaw cycles, depending on your climate, of course. Then on top of that, you have ground settling, just general corrosion, or even collateral damage from past repairs. Honestly, any single one of these factors can create the tiny, microscopic defects or compromised joints that these roots need to penetrate your defenses.
And once they breach the perimeter, wow, things escalate quickly. Once they're inside the pipe, the roots don't just sit there, they multiply. They form this incredibly dense, net-like growth that physically constricts the flow of water. And worse, this dense net acts like a literal trap for all the debris flowing through your sewer line. This creates massive blockages and actively accelerates the overall deterioration of the pipe itself. Basically, they establish a foothold and then they completely take over. All right, so we know exactly how they attack. Now let's talk about how to defend your territory.
Here we go. Section 3, the defense strategy, proactive prevention.
While no method guarantees a 100% root-free future forever, there is a highly actionable homeowner checklist you can use to significantly lower your risk. First off, keep large plants and trees away from your sewer easements and known pipe runs. Second, fix any plumbing leaks promptly. You really want to starve them of that moisture. Third, maintain proper landscaping irrigation so you aren't inadvertently directing water straight towards your sewer lines. And fourth, just avoid flushing inappropriate items that can cause buildup and give those roots debris to easily exploit.
So, the crucial point is it really just comes down to pure economics and your wallet. Proactive sewer maintenance, things like regularly inspecting aging lines with cameras and doing planned rehabilitation, is almost always drastically cheaper than dealing with a frantic emergency response. Trust me, you do not want to wait until your home is flooded with backup water to find out your pipes are compromised. But what if the roots have already won the first battle and you are currently experiencing symptoms? Well, it's time to fight back. That leads us to Section 4, the counterattack, professional remediation.
Any true professional knows you never go into battle blind. Step 1 of remediation absolutely must always be a sewer camera inspection. Professionals use this to gather vital intelligence. They need to identify exactly where the roots are entering, how severely they've grown, and really assess the overall condition of the pipe material before they can even begin to select a safe and effective removal method.
And this brilliantly illustrates your 3 main avenues of attack once you actually have that camera intelligence. Mechanical cutting is great for restoring immediate flow by literally, physically chopping the roots out. But removal alone doesn't fix the hole they came through in the first place. That's where trenchless liners or joint sealing come in. This is your long-term rehabilitation that actually repairs the pipe from the inside, significantly reducing the chance of reinvasion. Finally, we have chemical treatments. Now, there is a strong caution here. Often marketed as root killers, their results vary wildly. They can damage surrounding materials or pose serious risks if they're misapplied. Experts strongly recommend using chemicals only after a professional assessment and strictly in line with local guidance.
I really want to highlight this massive takeaway from the experts. Root intrusion is rarely a do-it-yourself task. Seriously, when you are dealing with backups, sections that are deep underground, or totally unknown brittle pipe materials, you really need a licensed plumber or sewer contractor. Trying to DIY this can so easily turn a tiny, manageable crack into a fully collapsed pipe. No way you want to deal with that.
So, these are your absolute red lines. If you see repeated clogs, if you smell sewage, if you have slow drains everywhere, or if you see literally any sign of backup, call the pros immediately. I really want to empower you here. Acting early prevents root growth from causing irreversible pipe deformation. When you call them, demand a camera inspection report and ask for a combined plan that includes both root removal and targeted pipe repair for long-term protection. Which brings us to our final, somewhat unsettling question. When was the last time you checked what's actually growing beneath your lawn? The roots are out there, and they are always thirsty. Don't wait for the warning signs to escalate into a full-blown emergency. Stay proactive, know your plumbing's vulnerabilities, and keep those lines clear. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I will see you on the next explainer.